Anime Summit Episode 4.
We were nerdy about something else, and we got made fun of for it, but no one made fun of them for being nerdy about football and basketball.
The sun will rise and we'll bid farewell to forever. All our happiness will only be a dream. Oh, darling, won't you stay with me? 'Cause all these seasons are the same.
Hello and welcome to the Anime Summit Podcast. I am Kwoka. With me I've got Mac,
Hey, what's up?
Nick,
Guilty Crown sucks.
and rejoining us after his short hiatus, the beautiful Psalm.
Evangelion sucks.
So in this episode,
That's
we've
your
all
one reference. No more Evangelion today.
had a little bit of homework, and we all watched a show that the rest of us had not seen, and we're going to present those shows to each other and tell us why we should or should not watch them. Take it away, Mac.
Oh man, I hate being first. I really do. Anyways, I picked a show that I had seen about a year ago, and then I took this last week to rewatch it. It's called Terra E. However, you'll also kind of see it mentioned as Toward the Terra. Basically, this anime show, was based on a movie done in the 1980s about a manga that came out around the same time. And the whole setting of this show is, it's kind of a futuristic sci-fi setting. And basically, you've got, your main conflict is between humanity, and then you have a seemingly subspecies born of humanity called the Mu. And basically, the big difference between the two is that the Mu can use psychokinesis, which is, they can, move stuff with their minds. They have powers and everything.
So it's kind of like in Char's Counterattack Gundam, where they can move parts of their Gundam with Wait, so what can they move with their minds?
They can move
robots and
anything. They can move anything.
stuff? Oh, okay.
It's legitimate telekinesis.
I was thinking it was like a robot thing. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's legitimate telekinesis. But
Wait, is there like a weight limit? They can't move.
Nick,
Like,
shut up. There ain't no weight limit to telekinesis. Get out of here.
Well, the interesting thing about the show is that if you notice, whenever certain characters certain, Mu actually start using their powers, there'll be different colors. And those colors symbolize their power level, basically. So the blues, think of the blues as like over 9,000. And everybody else is just, everybody else. They're cannon fodder. Who gives a
So
shit?
you mean,
They're
when they're
young,
using the power, they glow this certain color? Or?
Yes, they get like this
What's
aura
his power
around them.
level? It's a smooth pink.
Exactly. It is a smooth pink. We have no
Like-
problem.
Like a
Jesus,
hot pink,
magenta,
or
olive, orange.
like a hot pink, or the hot pink I had at my wedding for the bridesmaids. I'm not.
It's more of a taupe.
I think that's more of a really hot pink, like something that really pops.
Oh, just like booty shorts.
Yes, booty shorts. Perfect. Anyways, going back to Terra E, the main conflict, as I said, comes from the two different species. But one of the interesting things about this show is that humanity is ruled by what's called the SD system, which is Superior Domination System, is what it means. And it's kind of sort of like if you've seen Psycho-Pass, how the Sybil system is, only they don't read crime coefficients. The main head of the SD system is called Grandmother. And basically, she rules humanity and tells them how to live so they don't succumb to their own self-destructive natures. And really,
Oh, is it like
The
dystopian then? Like 1984?
it's
type
not
shit, or-
dystopian at all. That's the really interesting thing about it. It's not dystopian at all because the SD system, the way that it works, they can actually alter people's memories. So they can make them think a certain way very easily. So it's not really this whole dystopian aspect. It's actually a really happy society, but they're
Wait,
sheeple.
what? That you said they can alter people's memories?
Yes.
That's so dystopian, though.
But they're
Like,
sheeple.
love
They're happy
working
sheeple. They're happy sheeple.
24/7. We're gonna alter your memory.
All right, let him finish the pitch before we.
Okay,
start
okay,
weighing in
okay.
on it.
Yeah. Let me finish.
Well, I'm not
this
saying it's
out.
bad. I'm just saying it's dystopian.
You know.
Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter.
Holy shit.
I never said anything was
Anyways.
bad.
What did I say? Grandmother, SD system. The artwork of the show, it's this is where you'll hear a lot of, well, for anybody who has actually watched this, because I've noticed that a whole lot of people haven't. The artwork's going to be hit and miss with some people because it pays a very definite homage to its roots. So
Yeah, it looks like a show from the 90s.
While the artwork is pretty good, it's got that kind of rustic feel to it, which may not work for everybody. The pacing of the show, this show covers a vast amount of time in it. In fact, I think this show covers about 30 or 40 years in the span of 24 episodes, I think is about what it covers. So the
Like
pacing...
a year an episode. Or
Not
almost
like
two.
that. Not like that. But, I mean, if you average it out, yeah, I guess you can
Yeah.
say that. I mean, of course, you got the first few episodes, and it's kind of introducing everybody, and, you know, this is this guy, and that's that guy. And after that, things really start moving, which leads me into saying it's kind of your typical space opera in the sense that, you know, most of this show is going to be centered around space and space battles to some extent. Like the big climaxes, it's all going to be space battles.
How are the battles? Are they awesome? Or
They're pretty freaking awesome.
have you seen other
And-
like space shows to compare them to? Do you know, like?
Oh man, I've seen a lot of space shows, not a whole lot of anime space shows, but I'm a big sci-fi fan.
Robotech.
I haven't seen Robotech.
Doesn't Gundam
Oh,
have
very
like
well.
space battles with Gundams?
I mean, in a lot of the
The
Universal,
Billion series.
in a lot of the Universal Century era, they did. When it got to like Gundam Wing and G Gundam, and even like
Does Unicorn have it? I feel like it did.
Unicorn there was a lot of city battling going on in Unicorn though. But yeah, it did have a lot of space battles. I don't know, a lot of the ones that were like really different, like okay, Gundam Wing, G Gundam, SD Gundam, obviously. Like those were just like I don't know, those are stupid. Like, Gundam Wing does not hold up. Sorry,
It felt like you were gonna say something much more profound, and you're just like, "That's just stupid."
Comments about Gundam.
Tom has his hand up
Sorry.
and pondering thoughtfully.
I don't know. I'm not trying to be like that OG hipster guy who's all like, yeah, original Gundam is better, because I like some of the new stuff too. But a lot of the new stuff is going back towards like the space opera type.
Which I like space opera.
Yeah, me too.
Dude, do they have like the
it's-
pop idol like Macross? That'd be sick.
No, there's no real pop idol.
Or Inori.
You just got the really big cast, and you know you've got your main guy. The main guy, his name is Soldier. He's the leader of the Mew.
His
That's a
name is
good name.
literally Soldier.
That is a great.
They
name.
call him Soldier.
Oh
Soldier.
my god.
It's simple. He's just Soldier.
It's like Buzz
Um,
Lightyear. It's just like manly as fuck.
Pretty much. The Mew as a whole, they can slow their aging by a lot. So many of the Mew that you see are going to be a lot older than they actually look. One thing that I thought whenever I watched this, and then whenever I rewatched it over this past week, is that it probably should have spanned more than 24 episodes with all the material that they covered. But that being said, what they did really well. And I think that they covered a shit ton of material in a relatively short amount of time and really made it work for the most part. Sadly, that brings me to my last point. Because of the pacing and because of how fast this show can move at some points, I feel that some of the emotional impacts that this show has, because it does have some feels, I will say that, they were kind of detracted from just because of the overall pace of the show. It's kind of got this feel of gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, and then, oh, sad day, sad day, sad day, sad day. Oh, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. It's kind of got that kind of feel to it. So I think if they would have slowed down a little bit, you know, there could have been more impact from the emotional aspect, but then they couldn't have fit
Or
everything into
possibly
24
reduce
episodes.
the scope of the story.
Yeah, like split it into, you know, 2 24-episode cores, and then it would have been really great.
Oh, they could have R1, R2.
Yeah, something like that.
So for Terra E, what type of person would like the show? Like, what's the value in this show over something else that you might watch?
You know, that's a good question. If you want something different, if you want a different sci-fi, because it's not like a lot of the typical shows that have come out in the past, 10 years or so, in the sense that, it's not all super flashy, not super moe, but
It's not extremely slow like Planets.
yeah,
Planetes.
it's really fast paced once you get into it. I'd say about 5 or 6 episodes into it, things get really crazy. But if you're a big fan of sci-fi at its heart, and if you're a big fan of space and things like that, and to an extent, it's a little psychological at times, but I wouldn't really bank that on most of what this show is after. And that's about all I have to say about that.
So you would recommend it?
Yes, I would. It's
He's just like, nah.
I
I
love
mean, I
that
feel
show.
like all of us would be recommending the stuff we're pitching today, but
I would
I'm
hope
Yeah.
gonna
so.
troll you guys. Gotta watch Mars of Destruction.
wait, hold on, wait. Should we get max like out of 10 rating?
Final
Or, like-
score.
Or it doesn't have to be out
Oh.
of 10. It could be like a weird scale, like
Turn
out
it
of-
up to
out of
11.
pink, maybe out of hot pink. What would you rate it?
Man,
On a scale of
If
pink to blue.
on the pink to blue scale, I'm gonna go probably cyan on this. But if you want my numerical score, what I have it up on my anime list at the moment, it's an 8 out of 10 because I was fighting myself for the past day whether I should raise it to an 8 out of 10 or a 9 out of 10. And I finally settled on 8, mostly because of the pacing was mostly my biggest gripe, and the fact of they could have went back into the backstories a little bit more than what they did and taken their time with some of this instead of making it seem like a rushed mess at times, even though it never really gets to the rushed mess stage. But in the overall sense of the story, there's some times that just don't flow as well.
Okay, so my show is Golden Boy. Golden Boy
Yeah.
is a freaking hilarious show. It's just a pure comedy, and it's ecchi. So that means most anime fans will probably like it. Because why would you watch an anime if you're not
Something
for the fan
titties. Did
service,
somebody
man?
say titties? Titties? Fan service?
Oh,
Yep,
there's
yep.
titties. There's
I
actually some
believe
brief nudity.
there is also a little upskirt.
Oh, that's what I'm here for.
Oh yeah.
Oh, things just got serious.
And so basically, Golden Boy made in 1995 by ADV Films, I think.
It was produced by that's the American company that produced it.
Oh, that's a producer. Made by somebody who doesn't make shows anymore. Either they got absorbed by another studio or they're just not making anime anymore. Anyway, it's a 6 OVA series, and OVA means you can put raunchy stuff that you could not put on television. So Golden Boy got away with a lot of things here that they wouldn't if it was on TV. The way to watch Golden Boy is to watch the dub. Do not watch the sub if you watch the show, because what's his name? Doug Smith, I believe, who did the voice acting of Golden Boy. He's only been in 4 shows, and Golden Boy is one of them. And Golden Boy is widely regarded as like one of the best, like, just B-movie campy funny animes that there is, because of how ridiculous it is. So basically, the basic premise of Golden Boy is Kentaro Oe is the main character. He's like a 25-year-old guy in Japan who just does odd jobs, and he meets a bunch of women, and he's a huge pervert, and he gets into these funny situations. So
Sounds
that's
like
the basic
Gintama.
idea. Yeah, except it's like 300 episodes shorter than Gintama. And it doesn't do as much like referential humor. It's just purely like slapstick, just funny, pervy. It kind of transcends like cultures. You don't need to know anything to find Golden Boy funny. Whereas I think with Gintama, you need to like know stuff about Japanese culture and anime a little bit to get the most out of it. But yeah, so Golden Boy, I pretty much explained it. If you
Golden
guys,
Boy, like, okay, do you guys remember? I don't know if I think this is the episode where I talked about it was the episode where Eric was away that one week. But
That was a practice.
oh yeah, that was just a practice session. That's right.
talking about practice.
Anyways, I think I told you guys about it. It was called Colorful.
I've
where
heard of
there's
Yeah.
just-
The show,
where
not
every
the
episode.
movie.
where every episode they're just like trying to look up some girl's like skirt or whatever. That's like what Golden Boy is, but with an actual story. Like,
Well, yeah, it's kind of loosely tied between Golden Boy.
yeah. But yeah, no, Golden Boy. I've only
What?
seen the first couple episodes.
I
but
thought
it's-
Colorful was
Dude, it's
about
only 6
suicide.
episodes. You can done 2 hours.
It's about
you're
looking
done.
up skirts.
In the first episode, he drinks out of a woman's toilet. Like, That's-
What?
Well, that's
That's
where
to
you
give
find
you-
water,
yeah, I mean, he was thirsty.
because
But,
everywhere
like-
else is just Brondo.
What brings this series above and beyond is the English dub. Doug Smith does the voice for Golden Boy. He pretty much yells the whole time, and the other characters are just like these stereotypical, like, you can't tell if they had bad equipment or if they just didn't care, but like it almost sounds bad, but it sounds at just that level where you think it's funny. And what a lot of people don't know is that the English dub had a lot of voice actors from Evangelion, which aired in the same year as Golden Boy. So you'll be able to pick out like Asuka and Ritsuko and what's her name?
Well,
The Christmas
the
cake
thing
girl from
too is
Evangelion.
that the thing
That's
too
right.
is the anime I'm pitching. The anime I'm pitching is also produced by the same English company, and Evangelion was also produced by that same English company, which is ADV Films. So a lot of the voice actors, especially Tiffany Grant, they
Yeah,
knew
Asuka.
people- They all knew each other, and it was just easier that way. In the anime I'm pitching, the main character is voiced by the person who voices Shinji, so Spike Spencer, and
Oh god.
yes,
Oh, it's Lelouch's brother on Code Geass too.
yep.
So funny.
But
Actually,
yeah, ADV
Doug
Films,
Smith is,
they were kind of a tight knit company, so
Doug Smith is also he does do voicing in Evangelion episode 6, but he's uncredited. He has like 2 lines in the entire show. It's just like this random guy at the power plant, and like when I heard
It's
that,
just like, oh no.
he's like, "We're ready.
Yeah.
We got the generator." And I just like fucking cracked up. Like, it's so funny. This
But,
guy's
like,
voice
no, it's
is
like have you guys
golden.
ever seen that?
That's the name of the show.
There's this cartoon show called on MTV called Clone High, and this one character was like, so Clone High is about these like historical figures cloned and then put into high school, and Gandhi's like
Oh, I've
goes
seen,
up to
like, one
Cleopatra and he's like, dude, remember me? I was in your class for like every year. No. We grew up in the same neighborhood. No. I donated one of my kidneys to you. Like, it zooms in on his kidneys, and one kidney is missing, and the other kidney's like, I miss him. And then it just, like, zooms back out, and the person who did that one line was Michael J. Fox.
Oh my
Is
God.
Michael
I
J.
love when that
Fox.
stuff happens.
And
Credited
he just
as
did one
kidney.
line. Yeah,
Dude,
he was
new
credited
headcanon
as...
is he was just walking by the studio and they're like, "Dude, Michael J. Fox, come voice for us." He's like, "I got 5 minutes, guys."
Yeah.
Just runs into the studio.
Yeah. He's like, okay, just say this right here. I miss him.
Okay, so the main thing that makes it funny is, of course, the English dub and like the way that Kentaro Oe describes his situations is like really it's like really poetic and pervy at the same time. I can't give an example because that'd be kind of spoiling
What about
it. It's not the
something
same.
like
It's not the
the-
same if you don't watch it.
Like the intro scene to Kyokai no Kanata, where he's just like, you shouldn't die because glasses are sexy.
No, it's like he goes on like these rants when he's just like describing breasts and stuff and like his own sexual prowess.
Well, they are full of the hopes and dreams of man.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yes.
that's the type of thing he would say. He swims against this like Olympic gold swimming lady, and he's like, "The beast in you has awoken the beast in me." He's got like a boner while he's swimming. It's like so funny. Yeah, I've seen the show like twice already. I'll probably watch it at least once a year from now on. It's so good.
So on a scale of pink to blue,
Give it a semen color out of 10.
Semen color.
Kind of like an off
I don't know.
white, maybe.
That's a really
Dude, I used to know
ambiguous
this
color.
guy- I used to know this guy, and he would like when we played D&D together, he'd be like, he talk about masturbation all the time. I don't know why, but he'd be like, if your jizz doesn't have like a little bit of orange in it, you guys need to see a doctor. It's like, no, dude, you need to see a doctor.
What? What?
Yeah, for real.
Dude.
Like, this dude was a fucking weirdo.
My show is
Wait, Eric,
Inou-Battle.
it's Eric's show now. Guys,
Yes, it's my show now. Guys,
Eric, do you want to go
okay.
next?
Guys,
It's your show.
Show is
Your turn.
Inou-Battle in everyday life, also known as when supernatural battles become commonplace. So, let me paint a picture. There's a
What's the
guy.
piece you're using?
Eric Ross,
Normal
everybody.
colors, normal colors.
Okay, good.
Happy trees.
Oh,
Happy little
boy.
trees. So you got your one main guy, Jurai, and he is in the literature club with 4 other girls. Well, 3 high school girls and 1 elementary schooler.
Oh, he's got the
I
hair
won't get
on.
into
So
that.
every other anime where it's
Yeah,
one guy
so-
and 15 girls.
That's exactly how it's set up. Is
Monogatari, dude.
your kind of almost harem romance, and he's super Chuuni, talking about like it opens with him trying to contain the power in his arm, and then the other characters just mostly ignore him, or one of them wants to call an ambulance because he's in pain that he's not actually having because he's Chuuni. And he gets into this crazy rant, and then at the end of it, his hand actually starts glowing, and then it cuts forward 6 months, and they all have superpowers now. And by they all, I mean them in the literature club, and apparently some other people in the world, but it's not like everybody, and they still try and keep their powers secret. But to break down what their powers are, you got Chuhuyu, who is the elementary schooler. She can create matter and existence. Like, she can create entire realms for them to do their supernatural battles in a tiny room type of a thing. Like, in one episode, she makes a tennis court, and they just play tennis for a little bit.
That's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah.
That's really awesome.
And
Like,
they also have-
tennis. Like,
He comes up with ridiculous, like, Chuuni names for everything, like Tomoyo's power, which is the ability to control time, either stop, slow it down, or speed it up, but can't go into the past. It's closed clock.
does he do pervy things with it?
No, it's not his power. It's a
Wait,
different
Does he
girl's
do
power.
pervy things with it?
Oh, does she
Not
do pervy
much-
things with it?
It's not really ecchi. There isn't even... I mean,
Dang.
there's bikini
Damn.
episodes, but it doesn't even do much with that. Then Hatoko, she can control all 5 elements, which are the normal 4 that you can think of, plus light.
She's the Avatar.
Yeah, so 2 of them are basically gods. And then Sayumi can restore everything to their original state. But then our main guy, his power, which he was the Chuuni before where he really wanted powers. All his power is a darkly colored flame that sits in his hand and doesn't burn anything.
That's funny.
That reminds me of Ueharu's power from Railgun series. That reminds me a lot of it. Completely useless.
Yeah, so there are some
But still
points where
fun.
that kind of sets up where he can talk about how, like, the powers just need to be cool, and a dark colored flame in your hand is pretty cool, even if it doesn't do anything at all.
It's like that one episode of Family Guy where they all got powers and Meg could just like grow her nails, but everyone
Oh,
else had like.
Oh, I remember that. Oh man.
Wait, so I don't understand. So what do they have to do with these powers?
See, if you go back to the name of the show, where it's supernatural battles in everyday life, is they have nothing to do with these powers. Powers are just kind of there. They're almost a side point to the entire show. As much
Oh,
as
that's
I
kinda-
really
that's kinda
dislike
cool.
when people misattribute slice of life, I feel this one is actually a slice of life. Most of the stories,
Whoa, can you say that
Whoa.
again for the record?
Inou-Battle is a slice of life. There's only 2 bits that really have cross-episode story, and they only last for 2 episodes, and it's still not even like a major story. It's just very heavily focused on these characters that are just doing their normal everyday life, and they happen to have superpowers that they can't tell anybody about. This isn't like, save the cheerleader or anything. Nothing. They just have the ability.
See, that sounds like something I could get into.
There's entire episodes where I think like Hatoko, you see her use her power once in like episode 3 or 2, and then you don't even see it again until like episode 9.
Because she was doing a spirit bomb.
Yeah, she was doing the spirit bomb the entire time. But it's just like this whole concept that maybe having superpowers is just, you don't have to do anything with them. You're still just going to have a fairly normal life. I mean, it would be more dramatic if everybody had superpowers or they weren't trying to hide them, but they're just kind of like, we have these, we're just gonna hang out with them, do some somewhat Chuuni stuff because now they actually have powers, even though he's still way over the top, and they're just like, okay, whatever, I have powers. But it's heavily character focused. What really actually, like, the stories that happen aren't the important part. It's really just how the characters interact and how you see them develop. It still has that harem bit, but it doesn't go overly, faux romantic into it. It's just kind of like, yeah, they like him, and they're all the different types. And then there's the one amazing rant that I'm sure at least 2 of you have seen, where she goes like, what do you mean I don't understand? If you don't explain it to me, how could I ever understand? I don't know if you've seen that rant.
I might have. I don't remember.
I don't think I have.
It's pretty damn intense, but I can't. It's really hard to find links to it. I'll
That's
definitely
not
put that
like
in the show notes,
people
though.
die when
but-
they're killed, is it?
People
No.
die when they're killed.
No, it's very much like there's just this moment where one girl's a light novel author or trying to be, but she's keeping that a secret, and the main guy finds out, and he's helping her with it. And one of the other girls is trying to talk to him about what he's been talking to her about. And since he's trying to keep it a secret, and that this, Hatoko she's not really into light novels, he just says, you wouldn't understand. And she was cooking dinner, and then she just like drops the ladle, shuts off the stove, and just goes off on him for 4 minutes about like, why do you use complicated kanji? Why do you write holy war and read it as jihad? Why do you say all these stuff? What is Chuuni? If you never explain it to me, how can I understand? And it's really this like really sobering moment, and it's kind of great in that way that only slice of life shows can really do, where they hit really deep points that just kind of just hit you in this very natural way, just because of the way the characters have been building up, as opposed to a lot of action or drama and stuff where this is constant build up to that moment. This is just like, oh, everything's kind of going well, and it's like, whoa, deep moment, man.
I could see myself watching that, to be
I
honest.
can see myself watching that too.
Yeah,
I
I'm
think
hyped
I'll
for
watch
this
that.
episode. So hyped for that.
Yeah, it's only 13 episodes, and it's really easy to marathon. Like I marathoned this in 2 days, and I'm not big into marathoning in general. Like normally I can only watch like 2 or 3 episodes at a time. This was just really easy to just hit the next one, just because it's lighthearted, but it has those sober moments, and it's just easy to watch and enjoyable. And it's done by I should mention this earlier. It's done by Trigger, well known for Kill La Kill and Little Witch Academia.
Such gems as Ninja Slayer.
I would not say the art is above Ninja Slayer,
Oh, good. Thank
but
God.
below Kill La Kill and Little Witch Academia. Probably on par with Kill La Kill, but less
Yeah,
stylized.
Kill La Kill is kind of inconsistent.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, the
it
standard of
is.
Kill La Kill, it's probably about that, but Kill La Kill's more
Kill La
stylized,
Kill's
so it looks
it's like
a
either
lot
an
better.
8 or a 3 for Kill La Kill. It's no in between.
I mean, the one complaint I have with the animation is the skirts do not flow enough. They need to be waving in the breeze for me to really enjoy that.
You really have a thing for billowy skirts.
Well-
It's important, man.
Those billowing skirts lead to the upskirt shots. You see, he's thinking ahead here.
That's
Marilyn-
not even the important part. You just
Marilyn
gotta have them.
Monroe, not
You just
Marilyn
gotta
Manson.
have the physics.
Physics. Oh no.
It's important. This universality, man. You establish your rules for your skirt physics. You need to follow them. Anyway, on a scale of pink to blue, probably like a Celadon.
Is that a Pokemon?
Probably like a Celadon.
Turquoise.
Sounded like a, you know what it sounds? It sounds like we're rating wine or something. Like, yeah, this one.
Tastes like it comes from.
It's
I don't
like
know.
the
I can't even.
Depth
I can't even pretend to be a wine
I'll take
expert.
2 bottles of this, and I'll pay for that with my Swiss bank account.
Yeah, American
Stop
Express
quoting Family Guy.
Platinum. Yeah, so Inou-Battle, I'll probably give it. I actually haven't rated it on Mal yet. Somewhere between
Slender.
Good.
somewhere between a 7 and 8. It's not going to change your world, but it is a very easy show to watch and enjoy, and it has its really good moments. Like the harem bit, it's there, but it's not shoved in your face like a lot of shows are. All the characters are strong in their own right, even outside of their powers.
Even the guy with the useless power.
Well, he's, somewhat smart, I guess, or something.
Or something.
He knows really difficult kanji
Difficult kanji. Strong
and
power.
naming mechanisms. Like, they go into one part where he's talking about how he named all their abilities. They're all done with a word in kanji with, like, 2 symbols that is read as a different word, and then the second word in their power is in katakana, and it's kind of pretty stupid, but they go into way depth of some of these Chuuni concepts. Like, the Chuuni want to be accepted, but at the same time, acceptance ruins the value in them being Chuuni in the first place.
For the people who don't know, what is Chuuni?
Yeah, okay. Chuuni is short for Chunibu, which refers to something known as 8th grade syndrome, which essentially would be that kid in your middle school that wanted to dress like Naruto and would run around with his hands behind his back. That guy.
Gym class song.
Yeah, we knew a kid
And
like that.
and he would do certain jutsus and all that. Yeah,
He didn't
that
start
guy.
doing. I don't think he started doing the kid we and Nick knew. He didn't start doing the jutsu stuff until like we were about to graduate. We called him the Dragon Ball Z kid.
He
We called
thought
him
he
the
was
Dragon Ball Z kid, and like he was Super Saiyan. Like he even dyed his hair blonde like halfway through. Like
Did he spike it up, like, straight up?
he started doing that later, yes.
Oh, man.
Did he
But,
straight
like-
up spirit bomb at one point?
But
Was
no,
there a
no,
spirit
seriously,
bomb?
seriously, shout out to that dude because
He's got
like,
some
okay,
balls.
No, he had like autism or something, right? But he wasn't afraid to like try and be like just like an everyday kid and show what he loved through like his blonde hair and running around like he was about to kill Frieza. Like
Yeah.
seriously, and plus like he was
Yeah, I
he
guess-
was a little off-putting, but like he was a really nice guy for sure.
Yeah, kind of, if we wanted to get into a topic of the fandom, when people complain about how those guys give anime a bad name, it's like, how about you just let people know that you like anime so that then they have a good basis from which to understand anime fandom from?
Right, and I'm with Eric, dude. And I'll say this next point too, and anyone who went to high school and knew they were the nerd kid, like me and Stoner played a lot of sports, or I'm sorry, Nick. Nick played a lot of sports, so like he was kind of like, but he played a lot of Warcraft, so it was kind of weird.
Dude,
like,
I played clarinet too.
yeah, he played the clarinet too. Like
I was Squidward.
but everyone was
Squidward.
everyone was friends with Nick, and everyone was friends with me because I just started
Distant friends.
laughing
I
at him
I had a lot of distant friends.
But like, okay, here's the thing. People get really nerdy and hype over the Super Bowl and what teams are going to the Super Bowl
Dude, don't even
and
joke
football
about that.
season and
That's
football
serious.
season and stuff. But I'm just saying, like, the jockey kids, right? The jockey kids were especially into football and basketball, especially basketball at Burnsville. And at Burnsville, we went to school in Burnsville High School, Minnesota, for the listeners out there. And
Oh, it sounds addresses. Blah, blah, blah.
yeah, sorry. But
Next street.
but no, like, they got really nerdy about that stuff, but no one made fun of them. You know what I mean? Like, they just made fun of us because we were into Dragon Ball Z and, Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Magic and stuff like that. You know what I mean? We were nerdy about something else, and we got made fun of for it, but no one made fun of them for being nerdy about football and basketball. You know what I mean?
We didn't have like ESPN. We didn't have Stuart Scott telling us to be as cool as the other side of the pillow. All right.
I'm just saying, like, I'm just trying to piggyback off what Eric was saying. It's like, dude, just let people be nerds about whatever they're being nerds about. It's like,
But
I could have
also,
made fun of the
if
guy.
you want the thing that you like to nerd out about to be more accepted, is you have to let people see that there's no, quote unquote, normal people that are into it. If the only people, like, if I was not into anime and the only person I knew that was into anime was some, crazy kid that dressed like Naruto every day, I'd probably have a bad opinion of people that like anime. But
Right.
for all I
Right.
know, there's
Anybody?
still other quote unquote normal people around me that like it, but they're hiding it because of that guy. And if
Does
they
anybody
just,
see the
you don't
gift
have to
of
go
the
around
guy?
telling everybody that you like anime, but people that you're fairly close to, feel free to just be like, oh, hey, I was watching this cool show.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can't be yourself around people you're hanging around with, then
Don't hang
they're
out
not your
with them.
friends. Then don't hang out with them. Yeah. And so to all the people who made fun of me in high school about liking anime, fuck you. You're like pregnant. So like you got pregnant at 17, so go fuck
Pronounced
yourself.
preggers.
Shit. Well, they didn't fuck themselves. They had somebody do that for them.
Yeah. Dude, okay, let me tell you something about this podcast. We say whatever the hell we want, while still bringing the good anime news
Dude,
to you.
there's some things you can't say. Evangelion does not suck, man. Let's be honest.
Dude, are you kidding me? I've only been saying that because
No.
I've been saying everything
Okay,
sucks.
we
for
need
like the
to-
past-
No, I know.
We'll
Let's
move on.
Let's
We'll
move
maybe
on.
add a spoiler section at the end for
This could be like
Mac
a,
and Sam to talk about Evangelion because Mac
a
recently
dangly bit.
finished that. But
Dude,
first
you
we'll get
know
through Sam's
Evangelion's, like,
actual.
Evangelion's god tier list on my list. I couldn't put it on my top list the other day because I was just like, nah, it's
Yeah.
god tier, bro.
We'll talk all
Like,
about it after you present to us. Was it Martian Successor Nadesco? Nadesico?
Nadesco.
Oh
It's
shit,
the
Sam
name of
hasn't even gone yet? Oh my god.
It's the name of the Nadesco is the name of the ship that they're
That sounds
on.
like Nabisco, dude.
So it's
Not
like
gonna lie.
Battlestar
Dude, I know.
Galactica.
I know. Yeah, it's like Battlestar. Yeah, exactly. It's like that. But yeah, Martian Successor Nadesco was produced by ADV here in America, and I think it was licensed by Madman in 2003. But ADV Films technically went out of business in 2008 or 2009.
Oh, the crash. Yeah, that was the crash of anime. Or well,
Yep, yeah, the whole thing where
the
where
economy in general.
Genion got bought out by somebody, and then
The
ADV Films
housing
went out of
bubble and all
business.
that shit.
But yeah, basically, there was a for those who don't know who Kiya Asamiya is very, very, very famous manga artist and writer. He's pretty old by now. I think he's like 60 something. But he did Mobius, Silent Mobius. He did the manga adaptation for Star Wars Episode 1. He did a lot of manga adaptations for like Batman, X-Men, Kamen Rider. He's really into American comics. He started the manga series Nadesco, I think, in 1997.
1918.
But he wrote the characters for an anime, so it was an anime first. But I do actually have some of the comic books of Nadesco. But anyways, Martian Successor Nadesco is about a spaceship called the Nadesco, and the first episode is basically this war happened between the Earth Federation forces, the Martians, and Jupiter. And the people who live on Jupiter are called Jovians. And
They're not called
so-
jabronis.
they're called jabronis. Earth,
He's so sweet.
Earth and Mars are like they're allianced, so they're together. But basically, there's a company called Nergal. They're basically like a heavy industries company, like kind of like Tony Stark. Like he makes weapon machinery. You know what I mean? They decide to kind of take matters in their own hands and be an independent, war propaganda thing, whatever. They become their own thing, and they launch their own weapon. They do launch it with the permission of the Earth United Forces, but they still do it their own way. So, basically, this girl named Eureka, her father is like a commander in the Earth Federation Forces, representing Japan, and she becomes the captain of the Nadesco. She's, I think, 20. She's 21 or 20 years old, and
Oh, that's pretty old.
Yeah,
So
well,
she
she's like,
really should not have had that kind of a position at that age.
She's like
No,
she's almost Christmas cake at that age, man.
yeah, she really shouldn't have. But then they explain and as ditzy as she is and stuff, they explain in the first episode that she passed all the tests with 110%, and all flight simulation tests, all these tests, all those tests, she passed them way past anyone who had even had experience. She's super smart.
She's
And,
what's his name? The musical Mozart.
Yeah, something
Yeah,
like that.
right.
And I guess
Justin Bieber, maybe.
and what's cool about it too is that they don't just say that and never show it again. In serious situations, she mans up to the counter real quick and she's like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna go in, we're gonna swoop from underneath, and we're gonna flank right. Whatever. Anyways, this guy named Akito Tenkawa is a Martian, and he grew up on Mars with Eureka. And basically, the first episode, he is riding on his bike, and the car taking Eureka to the spaceship before they launch, he runs into them, or whatever. It runs into
Oh,
the
dude,
car.
that's the start of Golden Boy too.
Yeah, it is actually. Yeah. And then or actually no, Eureka's suitcase comes out of their trunk and flies in his face. So he's got like underwears and stuff all over his face, and it's funny. But like, when they
That's
drive
exact
back
same thing
away,
as Golden Boy.
when they drive back away, he realizes that that's Eureka Misumaru. That's the girl I grew up with on Mars. So he goes after them, and he ends up on the ship, and they capture him, and they're like, "Why did you sneak on like the ship?" And he's like, "I'm not a terrorist or nothing. Like I just came to see Eureka." And he's like, "Well, who are you? You got like a pilot." So the way they pilot the robots and pilot anything is they have to have these injection of nanobots, and a symbol shows up on their hand. So they see that he's got this symbol, and he's like, "Oh, you're a pilot." He's like, "No, I'm not a pilot. I'm a cook. I just want to cook food," because he's actually a chef. And he ends up because of all this hubbub and all this crap that happened, he ends up staying on the ship, and they can't let him off because they had to launch like right away because they were being attacked. So they can't let him off the ship. They're not gonna wait till the next planet to drop him off. They're gonna drop him off on Mars. So he ends up just becoming a cook on the ship. But it turns out that he's actually a really good robot pilot, and it's just kind of funny. But the reason I love the anime though is that there's a little bit of everything. There's a little romance. There's the nice chunk of drama. A nice chunk of comedy. It's really comedic, but when it gets serious, it's pretty serious. Like it's like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Something's going down. We better get out there and do whatever. It's real serious. Whatever, blah blah blah. But like they add in the comedic like relief at the perfect times. It's just really, really beautifully crafted. Like, and it is kind of harem too, I guess, because Akito.
Oh, that's good.
What?
I wouldn't feel comfortable if it didn't have a harem. I mean,
yeah, like
out of my comfort zone, dude.
But like Eureka is in love with him, and he's not. At first, he's not in love with her because he's just kind of like,
fuck that
like
bitch.
you're a fucking weirdo, get away from me. But like, another pilot who's a girl falls in love with him, and then the helmswoman, which is like, or the communications officer who works on the bridge of the ship, falls in love with him too. And
It's pretty standard.
every character though has like a personality. The only characters that don't have like personalities per se are like the mechanics that work on the robots. The helmswoman at the bridge has personality. The captain does. The co-captain. All the pilots have their own They're their own characters. They all have things written for them. The communications officer does. The helmsman does. There's a guy on there. They just call him Mr. Prospector. I don't even think he's got a name. He's like the guy who handles all like the costs and stuff for Nergal and the ship. He has his own thing. The admiral on the ship has his own every character has a thing written for them, and it's just like they pay in 26 or I think 25.
26.
Oh, 26.
But-
In 20.
Does the kidney have something written for them?
Yes, and it was dubbed by Michael J. Fox, and it was amazing.
Well, he was on his
Like,
phone, just walking by.
yeah, I miss him. The robot design is very original. It's not like I can like name a couple different animes where the robots are just like the exact same. Like, oh, okay, cool. Like, just another anime robot.
Oh, they got that
Like
same
Guilty
face.
Crown.
Yeah, actually, like Guilty Crown a lot. Yep, you got me. Fuck you. But but the robots in Guilty Crown are very generic.
Dude,
The
I didn't even
robots in
realize-
the robots in Nadesco are very. I even have a 1/44 scale model of one of them. They're called Estivales, and they are pretty distinct. Like it's an Estivales like when you see it. What's cool about the Estivales too is that the cockpit comes out of the actual body, and it can be put into a different body made for fighting in space or fighting in the air, or it can be put into this thing called a heavy artillery frame, which basically its whole body's got like missiles and guns in it, and it's really cool.
Oh, it's like a USB port.
Yeah, exactly. Like except you're in it and you just go into a different thing.
Or no, they're like the Game Boy cartridge or something.
No,
I don't
it'd
Yeah,
be more
exactly.
like it'd be like the plug in Evangelion.
Yeah, that's
But they
exactly.
don't switch robots though in Evangelion.
They can though. The plug is
They can
separate
though.
entirely.
Yeah.
Oh, well, they can't do it like mid-battle.
the only difference between like the entry plug in Evangelion and the cockpit in an Estevales is that the head comes out with it. So it's like the head and then the cockpit comes out and it goes into a different body. So it's the
Like
head
Gurren
on that
Lagann.
body.
This is just like Gurren Lagann, actually.
You mean Gurren Lagann's like it, but yeah, whatever. It's like that, yeah. But
Oh,
here's
yeah,
the
you're
best
right.
part about
Well,
this.
no, Gurren
Here's
Lagann
the
came
best part
first.
about this anime, though. The best part about this anime is that there's an anime within this anime, and the main character are fanboys over it, and it's hilarious. And
Oh, dude, I would watch that.
That'd be
it's
quite a bit
kind of
like
like
Ore Emo.
it's kind of like they make fun of Mazen Kaiser and stuff like that, and it's called the anime they're watching in it is called Geki Ganger. But what's funny about it is that it's called Geki Ganger 3. Like, what happened to 1 and 2, I don't know, they never say. But, like, it's
Dude,
like,
that shit's
dude,
coming out.
like, but,
Fall
Geki Ganger
2015.
3, right? And
I'm
he's like,
kidding.
yeah, like, we love Geki Ganger 3 and all this stuff, and there's, like, even an episode where, like, there was, like, a sad episode, and the main character's like crying. He's like, "Oh my god, it's so amazing!" Like, like, and it's just ridiculous, and so much to the point where the recap episode in every anime, right? Well, not every anime, but you know how a lot of animes have that
Of the
recap
anime of
episode?
that era.
Right? Yeah. Yep. Of that era.
Plus Kill a Kill for
The
lols.
recap episode of Martian Successor Nadesco is an episode of Geki Ganger 3. So you're
Oh my
basically
God.
watching the characters of Geki Ganger 3.
Does it
watch-
like foreshadow anything though? Oh wait, no, it's a recap. You said.
Yeah, no, it's a
Okay.
recap.
I thought
It's
that.
like
I think it'd be funny if like that anime in the anime foreshadowed something in the real anime.
I know that would be hilarious. But basically, the characters of Geki Ganger 3 are like, "Oh my god, what are you watching?" And it's like, "Oh, I'm watching Martian Successor Nadesco." "Oh, cool. Well, what episode is it?" And it's like, "Oh, it's another one of those recap episodes." And it's like, it's just like so self-aware, and it's just
That is
hilarious.
pretty meta.
Yeah, but like, yeah, dude, my only problem, and a movie did come out after it. That movie was pretty serious. It was still pretty funny, but it was really cool to see that kind of thing. And a game on Sega Saturn came out after that movie called The Blink of 2 Years, I think. But the movie's called Prince of Darkness, and then the Sega Saturn game is called The Blink of 3 Years, which takes place 3 years after the end of the series, but a year after the movie. And the movie takes place like 2 years after. And the only thing I would rate it an 8 out of 10. I would rate it a 10 out of 10. Don't get me wrong, because that's probably what I would rate it. But like, if we're being real and we're being fair, I'd probably rate it 8.5 or 8 out of 10, just because the way it ends is kind of like really abrupt. And I had to watch it again to like figure it out, because the whole anime, the whole time, they're being pretty straightforward, and then the ending is just like, whoa, what just happened? You know what I mean? Like, and it didn't
That
flow
sounds
very
like
well from.
that we know. Don't say it. Nobody say it.
Tell me.
No, just keep going, Sam.
Oh, is it Evangelion? Fuck you
No,
guys.
dude, just keep talking. Jesus.
But no, like it kind of like they were having like the final duel or whatever, and then it just kind of ended. But I would recommend just watching. Now the thing is that this is a '90s thing, okay? Nyx was also a '90s anime, and but
Only
it's really
90s
funny.
kids will
You know what I
get
mean?
it.
Like, but like Golden Boy is an anime, and that's really funny. You know what I mean? So you can always go back and just watch it because it's hilarious. Nadesco, I would recommend watching like the first at least 4 episodes, and if you're not into it by then maybe just shift gears. But I mean, for me, I grew up watching it. I was watching it as a kid, like when I was 10 years old. So like and when the movie came out, I was really excited. The movie, I guess, does explain what happened. At the end, and it does explain whatever. And I've never played the Blink of 3 Years because it was a Sega Saturn game in Japan, and I can't find a ROM for it. So, but I mean, it's really good. It's got a little bit of everything. It's got robot fighting. It's got comedy. There's a lot of romance, and the romance gets pretty serious. It's
Romance.
and
You guys
and
know what I'm
some
talking
of
about.
Yes.
some of the lore in it is really cool, like the lore about the Martians being able to like teleport, like they have this ability, and they explain the science behind it too, which is awesome. And I guess that more
Does it have to do with spiral energy at all?
no,
Thank God.
but there's a lot of there's even a little bit of political thrown in there, like where it's like, holy crap, like so you guys have been being government assholes this whole time, and it's like, yeah, dude, because blah 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 and war and stuff.
That'd be
like-
funny if they said it just like that.
And it's got your obligatory beach episode,
Oh,
and
nice.
and on top of that, another episode.
There's beaches in space,
Well, no, they're on Earth at this point. They land back on Earth just to.
but there is
Just
a
to go
hot
to the
springs
beach.
on the ship.
There,
Dude, even,
well, there,
even Gunbuster has a bath episode.
there is a room on the ship where you can change it. It's like a hologram, but you can change
the
it to look
holodeck.
like anything you want. Yeah,
Oh, that sounds like the movie Sunshine.
yeah. And it even shows like most of the ship. Like it really gets you attached to the characters, and it really gets you attached to the ship even, because there's an episode where the computer or the AI of the ship is going haywire, and they have to go in it.
I can't
and
let you
fix
do
it.
that, Dave.
Yeah.
It's just like a little red light. And you just have to like center the character in the screen and just leave it there for like 5 minutes. And then it's a work of art.
But like, no, it's pretty good, and I mean, you don't have to watch the movie. I will only recommend it because even the movie is not. I don't know. The movie's not very good.
Dude, fuck it. You don't sound excited. No one's gonna watch it now.
Well, no, I love the anime. It's just that the movie.
No, I mean that's what I mean for the movie.
Yeah, no, I would say you could even just skip it. You don't even have to watch the movie.
Let's go watch
I
that.
would say only watch it if you want to know what happens to the characters. But I really do recommend Nadesco. It is really good. I grew up watching it, and does it hold up? I think it still does. I have the whole collection on DVD, and I still watch it. So I've seen it about probably 15 times. So 2 less times than I've seen Evangelion.
So on a scale of pink to blue,
Blue.
No. We have to use a different scale here, because it's
Okay,
Nadesco.
Perry-
Okay.
I'm thinking
On a scale of
Nabisco.
Nilla wafers, Oreos.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
How does
Nabisco.
this rate?
The Nabisco scale, Sam.
okay, a scale of vanilla wafers to what?
Oreos.
Okay. I'm not saying Oreos, but I'm saying like the golden Oreo.
Oh.
Oh, like the shitty Oreos. Okay, it's still an Oreo though.
Still an
Oh,
Oreo though. Yeah,
dude,
yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Mac. To be
So
fair,
it's like
I think the scale should have started from Fig Newtons. Just to be
Oh,
Let's be
come
real.
on.
fair. But you're saying Nilla wafers are worse than Fig Newtons?
yes,
I don't-
the Newtons are definitely right in the middle.
Yeah, there's nothing
Oh,
wrong with Newtons.
3 out of 10 at best.
I would say golden Oreos as in like right below like Oreos.
I can accept this answer. I
Dude,
can
even
And
Not-
Fig
that
Newton,
double
but
okay,
not the
and
double
if
stuff.
if you're seriously knocking Fig Newtons right now, fuck out of here. Sit down, son. Like get out. You're
Nilla
knocking
wafers
Fig
with
Newtons right
milk?
now,
You just dip a Nilla wafer in milk and it tastes fucking good.
dude.
Yes, but we're
vanilla-
just talking about them by themselves.
by themselves.
By themselves.
Yeah, I can eat like 10 Nilla wafers and not gain 10 pounds. Fucking Fig Newtons are like 100 million calories per fig. Or
I
per,
can
like,
eat
square.
5 pounds of grass
For our listeners
and not
out
get
there,
shit from it. But
for
it
our
doesn't mean
listeners
it's
out there-
good.
For our listeners out there, Nick is like for some reason, like he's a weird nerdy kid, but he's like a health buff. Like the dude always be working out. The last time I think the last time I saw Nick was like at the end of winter at that standard tournament, and I felt his arms, and the dude is solid as a rock. Like he could punch,
No homo,
D-
dude. No homo.
he could punch through a wall.
He
Like-
could cosplay as Kamina and have it look good.
No, I'd be Vegeta. I'm not that tall.
Yeah, no, he could be Vegeta, and everyone would be like,
Oh
"Dude, is
no,
that Vegeta?"
Trunks.
He could be
Trunks. I
Krillin.
just gotta get that bowl cut. Yo,
could
Krillin.
be-
Krillin's my idol. I'd
He
I'd
could
be Krillin.
He could be Krillin, and people would be like, "What was that, Krillin?" With the exception of Golden Boy, because I do have those on tape, and I'll probably just watch them all at one day. Yes, I still have a VHS player. Screw you guys, and I do have all of Nadesco.
That's
I
so
do have
fucking
all
You
of
mean a
Nadesco.
VCR?
Yeah, I do have all of Nadesco on VHS, and I do have most of Golden Boy on VHS.
What is
have, like, laser
VHS
discs
for
too,
our
so-
younger listeners?
So for our younger listeners, for the listeners who didn't have it as hard as we did growing up, it is basically a rectangular. Okay, so a VHS player is exactly like a DVD
Oh
player.
my
so
god,
it
you're
plays-
really describing this.
Except it plays, instead of playing CDs, it plays these things called tapes, and those tapes are these
They're like
rectangular.
6 times larger than your phone, and they can hold about an hour and a half of 480p video.
Yeah, well, maybe like 2 hours, maybe like 2 hours, but yeah, it plays on it's recorded on a film that is rolled
Well, what is
into
film?
this.
What is films, Sam?
Okay, so film.
Anyway, that's gonna wrap up the
Dude, I think Saltine
the
did
main
a
part
lot
of.
it.
That's gonna wrap up the
Saying.
main part of this episode. After we
Eric,
do our
can I-
outro, though, we're gonna go into the Evangelion discussion.
Are we for real?
Yeah, we're gonna do that. Mac just watched it, so he could have this discussion with you.
Oh yeah,
and then you
yeah.
bailed
Mac has
last
to let us
week.
know. He's gotta say what he thought, or
Okay, yeah, I
So
actually.
it-
do wanna hear
Evangelion
this.
sucks.
just let it
Oh
end it
my-
there. Just drop
Oh
the
my
mic.
friggin-
I've been Kwoka. I've had with me Mac.
You've been Kwoka.
I've been Kwoka. You have been Mac.
You still
you
are,
have
but you
been
have been
Nick. And Sam has just been beautiful and sultry as always.
Hey, wait, can I give a shout out real quick? Can I do some real quick?
Go for it.
We should do this just because it's anime related, and I know we talked about not talking about anime video games on here, but I just gotta recommend it because I've been playing it and I'm getting pretty far. Valkyria Chronicles, that game
Dude,
is
that's-
sick.
Next week, we'll be back to just talking about some general topics and Anime Expo, which I am attending starting tomorrow. So I will
Godspeed.
spoil all of Little Witch Academia 2 for you guys. This has been the Anime Summit podcast.
The sun will rise and we'll bid farewell to forever. All our happiness will only be a dream. Oh, darling, won't you stay with me? 'Cause all these seasons aren't the same without you. In the darkest times, you'd always light the way. So, darling, won't you stay? Flowers start to dance, welcoming the springtime. The fields endless, the summer's bringing on the sunshine. Dazzling moonlight, just wishing you were here this autumn night. Should winter arrive, I'll still be waiting for the sun. I find myself going back in time when I close my eyes. I see us watching the sky, reminiscing about what we had. Us holding hands while I say you sweet lullaby. Oh, so sweet. But now the summer is gone and it's hard to move on. 'Cause now I'm on my own. All these old memories coming back to me. I'm thinking there's gotta be a way, so I'm heading on out. Off to find my way to you. No, I won't mess around. Swear that I will see this through. The sun will rise and we'll bid farewell to forever. All our happiness will only be a dream. Oh, darling, won't you stay with me? 'Cause all these seasons aren't the same without you. In the darkest times, you'd always light the way. So, darling, won't you stay? Flowers start to dance, welcoming the springtime. The fields endless, the summer's bringing on the sunshine. Dazzling moonlight, just wishing you were here this autumn night. Should winter arrive, I'll still be waiting for the sign. It's 7 on the dot, here we are living free. I wish tonight would go on for eternity. Will we ever meet again? Tell me that it ain't the end. My tears start to flow, oh baby, please don't go.
If you like the show, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Anime Summit or leave a review on iTunes.
But now it's all becoming clear to me that if we're truly even meant to be, our love won't fade and I will break free from all this pain, tearing down all the walls like a mighty hurricane.